All right. Another episode of Confessions of a Street Broker.
Street broker.
Today we got a guy that, man, I kind of think you're like the puppet master of industrial around here. You kind of seeing everything. You're kind of watching it up from this perch because you got so much footage. But
That's good.
Probably, yeah, it is. It's but today we got managing principal Holt Lunsford Commercial, Canon Shoults.
There you go.
What's up, man?
Thank you for having me. This is fun. Good setup.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, it's golly, we've worked so many deals together. It's it's always. It's just crazy to think. I couldn't even tell you how many deals we've done, but
long time.
Yeah. And but how much square footage do you cover right now?
So me personally, well, let me start bigger picture.
Okay.
So the company as a whole, we're probably just under 100 million square feet lease and or management.
Okay.
Bulk of that industrial. Holt started the company with industrial roots, so that's kind of been our fastball. And then our team, so DIG, Dallas Industrial Group. So we probably have close to 35 million square feet, 40 million square feet for our team. And so we're a team of 16, about to add another person on Monday, actually. So yeah, we've been fortunate for a boutique firm to have some kind of national type presence in square footage. Yeah,
no, I would think anytime there's a portfolio selling or anything like that, you guys are definitely on the list to be talked to about the leasing assignment for it. So that's, that just says, it's very unique for a boutique to be in that conversation with all the alphabets. So
yeah, agreed. And it's a challenge. I mean, that's why we got to work hard and stay on top of things. And I'm glad you have an observation that we're on top of those OMs, because that's our growth model is to be the go-to team from an underwriting standpoint, gut check all the MLAs, provide comps, market data. That's a huge piece of our growth. So we really focus on that and try to train our young guys to focus on that. And that's kind of been some of our secret sauce, to take the time to do that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, let's get into Canon Shoults.
All right.
Start at the beginning. Where are you from?
Yeah, very beginning. So I was born in Bountiful, Utah.
Okay.
My dad worked for JCPenney's. He was a store manager. So we moved around frequently.
Okay.
So lived there 2 years. Don't really remember any of that. Moved to Colorado, just outside of Denver. Lived there for 4 years. Albuquerque, New Mexico for 4 years. And then Arlington in like 6th grade.
Okay, so you migrated from the mountains all the way to Arlington.
That's right. And looking back, God, I mean, I had no idea just the beautiful places that we lived. The mountains of Utah. In Albuquerque, we lived right at the foot of Sandia Mountains. Like I could have walked there. I mean, just unbelievable that I didn't have the appreciation for it at the time. But now we're in the concrete jungle. You can go eat, right? And shop. And that's about what we've got here.
There you go. So Arlington, where'd you go to high school?
Martin.
That's right. Because you knew Ryan Newberry.
Yes. Yeah. So we were on the same team. I'm a year older than him.
Okay.
So I graduated in 94.
Okay.
Which somehow I've got my 30th year reunion coming up in a couple weekends, which that's mind shattering. But Ryan and I played on the same team. Yep. We were 0-10.
Really?
0-10. Yeah.
Martin's always usually a pretty good program.
Well, shortly thereafter, they became pretty good, and they may have had a run to state, and they did pretty well. But 0-10, painful. We had good athletes too. I mean, we had, including Ryan. I mean, he played Texas Tech with you, and then we had several guys that went to TCU.
Didn't Kyle Shipley play at Arlington, Martin?
He did, yeah. So he was 2 years younger. He was a sophomore when I was a senior.
Did you
know?
But
he played linebacker, right?
Yeah, he was a linebacker. Tech, so. Did you know Paul Erickson?
No.
He was my age, Arlington Martin. He was my roommate, and he played at Tech with us and all that stuff. So, but we had a decent amount of Martin guys on our team.
Yeah,
so
best Owen team 10
0 and
ever.
10 team.
Yeah, 0-10 team ever.
Okay,
A lot of hard work for nothing.
Yeah, no, that's man. How do you about Game 7? Like, how do you get up for that?
Yeah, that's a grind. It's a grind.
Oh man. Well, I guess you got a lot of Arlington schools, so you got a lot of Arlington rivalries to be like, this week it's it,
That's
right?
right. This is it.
Well,
this is it.
Don't feel so bad about 0 and 10. I'm going to give you a little. So Jeff and I grew up in Irving.
That's right. Which we played. We played Nimitz and MacArthur.
Yep.
So played some of those Irving schools.
So Jeff's team, they went a couple rounds deep in the playoffs. Isabella's dad kicked them out of the playoffs. Her dad played at Arlington Lamar.
Okay. All right.
All
right.
And then I was pretty fortunate, just from a cool factor that every year, our first round of the playoffs, we had to play Carter.
Yeah.
So I played Carter in the Cotton Bowl, and I played them in Texas Stadium. So that was pretty cool. And we actually didn't get slaughtered. It was like we lost one game 28-14, and the other one 21-14. So I felt that was a very solid showing for a team that had 23 guys sign letters of intent.
Yeah, that's the real deal.
Yeah. So, but Irving has definitely faded. So this is just, I was looking at the records of Irving schools last year. Irving High, where we went.
All right.
0 and 10.
Ooh.
Irving Nimitz, 1 and 9.
Oh,
they beat Irving High.
Okay.
Irving MacArthur, 2 and 8.
Gosh.
They beat Irving and Irving Nimitz.
Unbelievable.
Between the three of them, they didn't beat one team outside of Irving.
How's that possible? There should be good athletes. I mean, that's...
there was a talk at one time where they would make Irving High like a senior high so they could be competitive again and feed into it. But God, it didn't sound like that would even matter.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
So anyways, well.
All right. So on from Martin High School to Texas A&M.
Okay.
I was in the Corps of Cadets for 2 years.
Okay.
And then, which I would absolutely do that again. I mean, awesome experience, just be part of the school and tradition and everything.
It's like a military fraternity, right?
Yeah. Which at end of your sophomore year, you end up either committing to the military or just going, they call it D&C, drill and ceremonies.
Okay.
But just you live on campus and Monday, Wednesday, Friday, working out every morning at 6 a.m. and just not a lot of fun for a college student and to experience everything else that college has to offer. Yeah. So I did that for 2 years, joined a fraternity, did both for a little while, but then quit after my sophomore year and graduated and then got a job with Ernst & Young on the consulting side, which was awesome. I'm not a computer guy, come to find out, but we were doing software implementations for telecom companies. But fantastic experience. I lived in Belgium for a year.
Oh, that's cool.
Anchorage, Alaska for a year. Stints to New York. So just a ton of travel.
So were you on site at a company y'all were consulting with, and you were just kind of, hey, I'm going to live over here for a year and this is my assignment type deal? Is that what it was? Yeah.
So if it was like New York, we'd go a week, come home on the weekends. We just travel back and forth. But the Belgium deal was legit living over there for a year. We'd go and we were implementing a big software package for a telecom company. Okay. And I was kind of like the process guy in between the super technical folks and the business people. But lived there and every weekend we'd go experience something different in Europe. So all the way from running of the bulls in Pamplona to skydiving out of helicopters in the Swiss Alps. And
man, what an experience. That's
it's
cool.
Awesome. Awesome. And just really neat group of people, just well-rounded, talented, funny, smart, just every person that I worked with there was just legit the full package. So great place to start my career, but got kind of burned out on the travel, wanted to be home with some friends a little more. And then, as I said, I'm not a computer guy. So needed a little more sales and interaction. Yeah. So kind of towards the tail end of my stint at Ernst & Young, I started flipping houses with a buddy that I worked with there and a college friend. So we did both for a little while, flipped houses and still worked at Ernst & Young. When I was in town, I'd leave the Ernst & Young office and go install mini blinds or do some work.
Right.
So we were doing Section 8 houses down in Oak Cliff and then Fair Park.
Okay.
So some rougher parts of town.
Yeah.
But I ended up leaving Ernst & Young. We did that full time for probably a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
And then the wheels kind of fell off of that deal. We had a property manager named Brother Al that started stealing the rent. All the tenants were paying the rent, but he was reporting that none of the rent was coming in. So that kind of fell apart.
How did you source your deals in Oak Cliff? Cold calling?
No, there were guys that kind of specialized in brokering,
just
those,
wholesaling it and
wholesaling those houses. I mean, they were anywhere from 20 grand to 50 grand. You'd fix them up, and originally we'd fix them up and then sell them to each other.
Yeah,
get our money out.
Yeah,
and so we probably did that, I don't know, 4 times, and then we figured out how to get some other money and equity, some hard money loans sometimes, and we built up a pretty decent portfolio. Then we started selling them off to investors, and which just a tough segment. I mean, that's a tough neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
They, unfortunately, with that area and neighborhood, lots of times they would tear it apart as quick as you could fix it.
Yeah.
I mean, literally break in and steal the carpet off the floor or take the cabinets off the wall. And so that didn't work. Yeah. But that kind of spawned my interest in real estate. And fraternity brother, Robert Jimenez, who runs leasing for Granite, he's on the office side, just started getting me introductions. And originally I had an interest in development, although I'd never done anything in development, and I didn't have a finance background. So I was industrial distribution in college, which is kind of a mix of engineering and business. So I had a hard time getting my foot in the door for any kind of junior development position. But what kept coming up was leasing. And then I found my way to industrial and meeting with the Holt guys and Jim Bryce.
Yep.
Which, shout out to Jim Bryce. He just celebrated 30 years with the company.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, great mentor and great guy. Blessed to have him on our team and in my life. So anyway, things progressed with them. There was a guy leaving from Holt, and I was able to get a position and assume some responsibilities relatively quickly in terms of getting portfolio to start leasing and cutting my teeth on. So I was 28 at the time. I had some good work experience, so it was easy for me to get in the mix and pick things up relatively quickly. But fortunate to step into a spot that I had a portfolio kind of from day one, and a little bit spread out from day one, to be honest. So I was GSW, Brook Hollow, and then still, as I do today, share some responsibilities with John Gorman down in South Dallas.
Yep.
And some of that original portfolio we still have. So the stuff down in Stone Ridge, we've worked on for 18 to 20 years. So that's some of the stuff that I originally started on.
Yeah.
So that got me into industrial real estate.
So that got you
in 2005, October 2005.
Well, so you got in when it was pretty decent at the time. So
yeah.
So I guess when you started, how much footage was Holt at that as a company working on?
Gosh, honestly, we've probably at least doubled since then, if not tripled. So we've had some significant growth, which is awesome because Holt's story left Trammell Crow and literally had one client, and Jim Bryce was his first employee and has since built it. I think we've got over 40 clients, most of which institutional focused, some family office, maybe just under 200 employees. And like I was saying at the beginning, 100 million square feet ish under lease and or management. So, I mean, it's been on fire. For a boutique firm, they've really grown it.
Oh yeah. It's a machine now for sure. And it's, I don't know, you're kind of in that, I call it like just in between. You're kind of like in between like a large shop, but not, and, I mean, it's been interesting, like, having Will work with me, I didn't ever get to work anywhere like that. I kind of just went straight out and started doing my thing or whatever. And then, working with Jeff. And so we're just kind of always in this, but like, I think it's cool, like, having Will over here, he's brought a lot of stuff that, he learned there that, that I would have never known to use. And, so, I've indirectly got to benefit from, from all that. But, it seems like it's a great place for everybody to, if you're going to get into commercial real estate, I mean, there's a lot to learn there to soak up. So
agreed. And we operate in a pretty unique way. So our team, as much as you can, I mean, this business in general is very much an individual player business, but our team operates together, shares information. We meet every Monday morning, swap deals, talk about rates, service clients together. You mentioned doing the portfolios and the MLAs. So, and that's why we've got pretty good longevity for most of our guys. I mean, as I was saying, Jim Bryce, 30 years. Gorman's been there forever. I'm approaching 18. Josh Barnes is 15. Andrew's 12. Yeah. So we got a good core group of guys that stay for a reason because of the people there on the team. Yeah.
So I guess when you started, were you getting into those pitches on the capital market side when deals were trading? Were y'all getting tapped at that time, or was it? I wasn't around in 2005. Were deals trading kind of like they were in the past couple of years, where all that was happening, or was it just you just kind of organically grabbing a listing here and grabbing a listing here?
So we always had core clients that we were helping underwrite stuff. So Principal's been a long-term client. TA's been a long-term client. So, and Fraker was in the business kind of doing his thing when I was starting. So similar process. It's way more sophisticated now. Yeah. And, a lot more groups active, obviously. But it happened the same way. Our core group of clients, we were still helping underwrite. They'd come in town, you'd tour the real estate, look at it, give them your boots on the ground opinion, support it with comps and whatnot. Yeah. So for the most part, kind of the same process.
Yeah. So, I look at we're working on a deal right now. I think that landlord that's probably their first deal in this market. And, you weren't the listing broker on it when it sold, but now you are. Right. How did you work your way in to know that was happening, or I don't want to give away your secret sauce or anything, I think you weren't on that sign or anything. So
right. Yeah. So we'll track the packages as they're launched. We've got a good system in that regard with analysts that if that OM comes out, we add it to our list, we track it. And then we maintain a pretty good relationship with all the investment sales guys. Yep. And so we're helping the investment sales guys do their job. So they like to send them our way because we'll spend time talking to people in the market. And so that's how that progressed. They were looking for deals, investment sales guys. They got our name, or they'll see we're active in the market, and you'll have some phone calls with them and tell them what you think about the market. They'll come in town, tour it. And that's very much of our business development process to gain business and new clients, is to pay attention to that and push for to be involved in that process.
So do you get, some of the capital markets groups, they kind of have their own in-house leasing. Do you still kind of stay in communication with them anyways? Because at the end of the day, the client's going to pick the listing broker. Do you still talk to those teams a lot, or there's some capital markets guys, they don't do leasing at all, so it's like they don't really care who gets it. So,
a lot of the capital market guys, they just want the input, or the owners are going to talk to several groups anyway and gut check the deal. So if we're another source for them to reference and talk to, then I don't think they mind. Now, as time has gone on, some of those groups, some of the investment sales groups have gotten a little tighter, or they're trying to rely on their own platform more than they used to. But that's not the case all the way across the board. A lot of them are happy to have the help, happy to have the second opinion. Yeah. And then at this point, a lot of the folks, we're going to get the call anyway, because there are existing clients and relationships that we're the ones they trust and want to talk to. So this landlord you're talking about was new to the group. So we just kind of spent time with them in business development. But if it's somebody that we've got an existing relationship, regardless of the shop that's calling, we're going to get the phone call and talk to them about it.
Well, I guess, now thinking about it, like, if some big landlord goes to take thing out to capital markets, y'all might already be on the listing anyways. At that point,
exactly.
You know what I mean? So the new buyer, so you could have a deal where, some landlord's taking out 1 million feet. Well, that 1 million feet could have 4 or 5 listing brokers within it on the leasing side. So,
which to that point, that's happening with Link right now. So Link's got a huge portfolio that might be 1.4 million square feet. And we've got a handful of the listings.
Okay.
So we want to make sure we're taking those phone calls, certainly to defend our listings. And then it becomes an opportunity to pick up some other listings if we can provide value, or it ends up being one of our core clients that buys it. But very key to the landlord business is to track that. We track all the comps from a sales perspective, and we produce some quarterly information that's a big piece of our marketing effort, is to send out that investment sales and not only track what's on the market, but keep track of those comps as well.
No, I mean, some of your junior guys, when we're looking at a deal, they're more than happy to provide us MLAs on it, and the information is tight. Good. It's great. So
good. Well, I'm happy to hear that, because that means it's working, and we're raising them right, and that's the value that we want to add.
Right. Well, let's see. Now y'all have you've got old AC Adam Curran.
Yes, exactly.
He's kind of really, I felt like y'all have always kind of dabbled around the tenant rep side, but I feel like you haven't really completely stepped your foot in the pool. But I think with AC, that's the plan.
Exactly.
Right. That's where he was raised, and and so I actually got him coming on here in a couple of weeks.
Oh, good.
So,
Awesome guy. Awesome guy. And we're blessed to have him, excited to have him.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting to see, y'all really take that leap and grow that side too, because I think y'all could be lethal on that side.
Yeah, I hope so. That's the intent, because you're exactly right. So our core team, landlord focused, and to quantify, we're doing 85% landlord business.
Yeah.
And not heavily pursuing the tenant rep, which is a miss, because it's such a good pay window.
Oh, yeah.
And me personally, anytime I've had a better year than average, I've either sold a building, done a couple tenant rep deals. So I'm blessed to have a core book of business that is fantastic. But if you want to have a good year, you got to hit some of those other pay windows as well.
Right.
So as a team, we dabbled focusing on it. Josh Barnes and I kind of had an experiment. We hired some younger guys with the sole intent to be tenant reps, but just the time it's just different. The time to manage that process and to do it right.
Yeah.
As you know, which just admiring y'all's machine, Jeff's machine, and Robert Lynn's machine. It just needs focus. It's just a different aspect of the business, which was the intent of hiring Adam, because we had a tenant rep team, but they were under me and just needed some individual guidance and process related to that.
Well, I think Adam also, he really loves the role of coach. I think he really likes pouring into young guys. I think that's something that he's very passionate about. And so you'll have a guy that'll give everybody all of his time to help them make a deal. So,
which you have to have it, because it takes a lot of time, and
you do
in a business where time is money, and if you not only have to manage your own deals and produce, and pour into some young guys, it takes a special person.
That's why, I've always said this, like, I was a terrible brokerage partner, because I didn't want to spend the time. Like, I'd be like, you don't get this, let's go. Like, I don't got time for this. And then if I saw like any hesitation, I'd just grab the deal from that junior broker and be like, hey, I got it. Like, I got to go wrangle this up and put it up and go get the next one.
Exactly right.
So, I was like, I was never and the difference over here, like, we got to have a team to like buy these assets and get through closing and all that stuff, and then get through construction and get through all that. It takes a team. So it's definitely been a totally different thing to work on for me, which has been cool. And, versus I was always just a better lone wolf broker, know? So, this is something I always like to kind of ask on here. What, you've made a lot of cold calls in your day, developing business.
Yeah.
Give me some awkward, crazy stories. I know you got a bunch of them. So.
Yeah. Well, so I listened to a couple of other podcasts and I thought about that a little bit. And I'm going to tell you a couple of different things. So first off, starting in this funny business, right about the first or second month I started, we went to the GSW bus tour, the NatCar bus tour.
Yeah.
And I was just shocked that this group of guys, you drive around in a bus, drink beer, and look at buildings. Like, how cool is that?
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
And about halfway through the bus tour, our bus gets T-boned by a truck, by like a pickup truck that slides underneath the middle of the bus. And I was just, man, what have I gotten myself into here?
Yeah.
So pretty wild. But
do they have to get a new bus?
Get y'all? Yeah. We just stood out there, continued to drink beer, and waited for another bus to come.
Yeah.
But in terms of most of mine is on just funny showings, not so much cold calls, but crazy showings.
Yeah.
And also kind of going way back in old deals. So there used to be a project off of Bickham, which is off Northwest Highway and behind LeBaire over there.
Yeah, there you go.
At the dead end of the street, just a bunch of metal buildings.
Mm-hmm.
And Holt owned these buildings personally or with some other partners. So this was always probably top priority.
Yeah.
And I was the new guy tasked with leasing it. So, which subsequently that project, then got handed off to Josh and then the next man up. But just a bunch of metal buildings with ragtag tenants. I think there was a guy kind of illegally working on cars there, a bunch of granite guys.
Yeah.
And so two funny things. So the only time I ever leased a space without a bathroom.
Yeah.
So that's some good brokerage there. Good landlord brokerage.
That's right.
And then some of the tenants got in an argument down there and one of the guys stabbed the other guy. So didn't kill him, but stabbed him.
Oh my gosh!
So that was an interesting one.
Yeah, that's Heinz, right? So
I
mean that's Heinz for you.
Yeah,
so.
I hadn't seen it in years, but God bless Bickham, man. That place is rough.
It's funny. Jeff's son just started in the business.
Okay,
and he's working Heinz.
Oh yeah,
with Canon.
Yeah.
I'm like,
you'll get an education there.
Yeah, you're gonna get your street smarts in real quick down
right.
there. So.
Yeah, you better.
It's so funny. Heinz is like the most infill neighborhood.
I know,
and it is just so patchy.
I know.
You go around one corner, it's like, oh, that's a great building. You go around the next corner, you're like, there's a lot of meth around.
Yeah, among other things. But that's coming. At some point, that's going to turn over. Like, there's no way just that main location, 635. There's bigger and better things coming for that area for sure.
I always thought it's funny because you have all that stuff on Goodnight, and then you have Prologis' beautiful corporate center right next to it. It's just like these neighbors don't seem to go together, but it's are they still? They're doing the bus tours again, aren't they?
Yeah.
I feel like,
which I've been fortunate to be part of NatCar here the last several years.
Yeah.
And the bus tour has been my thing. So we brought that back after COVID.
Yeah.
So South Dallas, big success. Airport was the most recent one. And we had good attendance. I mean, almost last one might have been like 150 people. So
wow.
That's
cool.
It's back. It's back.
I did a bus tour once. I did the Brook Hollow bus tour. I was like, I'm going to do it. No one gives any.
I think I remember that.
Remember that?
Yes, I do.
I got Prologis to sponsor it. I got ML to sponsor it. I got Stone Lake to sponsor it.
Some Brook Hollow love.
Yeah. Then we went to Dirty Irving and looked at some
it's good. But legit, I think that's time well spent. Like, you got to dedicate that time. It's just cliff notes of education for a market because you can walk away with the book. Everybody's talking about their quoted rental rates.
Yeah.
So it's a commitment with some time, but it's well worth the education from a market perspective. I
can totally see it. I went on a GSW one before. Maybe it was South Dallas a couple years ago.
Yep.
I think me and all the Lee guys got stranded somewhere.
All right.
I was like, they're in the back. I just remember being in the back of a truck with Adam Graham riding somewhere.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like when we're on those things, like I just remember doing that. It was just like, I feel like we kind of put some deals together out of that, being like, hey, this is what's coming available here. This is this. And so it's, I've always said this, just even at like Mercer Company, I told Jeff, I was like, you should have like one person, their whole job is to walk around and like pair everybody's deals up. Like know everybody's inventory. Like, I feel like sometimes there's listings within our company that we should have just sold each other.
Right.
And didn't even know the other guy had. And
right.
So,
now I will say that's the fortunate thing with our group, that we're meeting every Monday morning, and part of that's rolling through those deal sheets to see if you can kind of cross-pollinate. And we pitch that to our clients as well.
Yeah.
I may be your guy for this particular listing, but you're getting this whole group of guys' eyes on it for different requirements in different parts of the market.
Yeah.
So agree. And the last thing to that is, especially where the markets or the rates have been all over the place.
Yeah.
We're trying to talk about rates and correlations in different parts of the market and TI and just trying to get smart with the changing environment.
Yeah. No, that's what, Jeff and them have a Monday morning meeting, but like at some point you get to graduate from it where you don't have to go.
Oh, okay.
So, but they're all going over a lot of tenant rep deals, but it's like, I feel like I was like, you got to have like a listing Sherpa in there that's just like sitting there being like, that fits this building we have here, someone that's going around just like pairing all the deals. I think that could be one full role of a person, like the internal broker, that pairs up, all that stuff, or then just knows that. But I mean, at the end of the day, this business is so much knowledge driven and data driven. Like you got to, if you know certain things are going on, well, the great thing about real estate is you can insider trade and it's not illegal.
Yeah.
If you have data that is so good, you can make decisions on things that other people might not see.
Right.
Right. And so that's what's, that's what's, again, back to like your younger guys giving us MLAs on stuff that's very helpful. And,
especially in the competitive environment where you need an edge, or if you can squeak out some more rent and there's confidence behind that, then you got to have that knowledge today.
Well, and that's like, even on the buyer or tenant rep side, like if you're able to walk into somewhere, like I was always very good in Brook Hollow to be able to walk in, the guy would be like, well, what about that? I go, oh, well, I sold that building to this guy. Oh, that guy bought it? Because they all the neighbors know each other. So I could be like, I sold that one. No, I sold that one too. And that one.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I heard that traded at that. I go, no, it traded at this because I sold it, And so that was always, being able to articulate that, it's so, I think it's so important for brokers to not just like, there's one thing to going out and making deals and connecting people, but like actually studying your market.
Oh yeah.
100%
agree.
Like that's a whole nother thing that like, Jeff and I've talked about this before. What if you took like just 4 hours a week and you just like studied the availables in the markets and just, if you just put that time in, and that's why, a big part of their side of things is driving the markets, And I think a lot of people rely just on CoStar, which doesn't tell the complete story.
Correct.
So, I think that's when someone's making an evaluation of who's going to work on their project, it's, how relevant are they to that type of product,
right?
And how much data, and that'll come with the data they have, right? Because they're like, hey, I know this about all these, and I know you can achieve this because we achieved it right down the street on this.
Yep.
And that could swing an underwrite totally different direction.
100%.
There's sometimes I look at deals and I'm like, that's an 850 net building, and someone's like, no, that's like 12 net, and I'm like, what?
Yep.
So testament to the data y'all can aggregate over there.
Right.
So
that's right.
Tell me what one of your most like unique deals you've kind of ever put together, or like hops tenants here and there, put them,
All right, so I'm going to tell you about two. The first one is at City Warehouse.
Okay.
So City Warehouse
is a project, man.
What a project. Yeah. That talk about something to come. That's going to be something bigger and better at someday. But so adjacent to downtown off of I-30, the old Ford plant that was operational from, probably the late 30s into the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
So any deal you do there is pretty unique just because it's such a unique building. But we did a deal, Texas Recycling, handful of years back. Jim Hazard was repping them. But cool deal because required an SUP for recycling use. It's actually a 2-story warehouse. So we had to figure out freight elevators and what's the value, what can we get them to pay on the second floor.
Yeah.
It had rail, outside storage. And then in conjunction with that, the Holt or the group was just about to refinance it with some, I think some life co debt that had some pretty narrow underwriting to it. So we had to get real creative in terms of breaking down the value of the different areas of the building to pull it off. So just in terms of an intricate deal, that was pretty fun and just interesting. So Texas Recycling down at City Warehouse.
How long did that take to get done, start to finish?
Yeah, gosh, man. I mean, that's probably an 8-month long deal. I mean, that took some time to unwind. And
how many square feet did they take?
Oh, it's probably a 200,000 square foot deal between upstairs, downstairs.
They get any outside storage out there?
Yeah, there's probably another 1.5 acres like that.
So we bought a building in San Antonio, and it's a 100,000 foot building, and it, sawtooth building, like city. When Will toured it, he's like, "What do you think about this?" I was like, "This is our City Warehouse."
Yeah. And it's probably in an awesome location, and
it's
you cash flow it until it's time to be something different.
Oh yeah, it's I mean, we're already there. We're already getting letters about them expanding the road and getting some eminent domain and some things like that. And so it's we just cleaned it up. We went down there and cleaned it up. We took the rents were like at $1 net. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I literally was negotiating with one of our tenants the other day. I said, "Listen, you're paying $60, 60 cents a foot net. Yeah, like this is charity. I can't do this." Right. But we've gotten everybody up to the high 4s. Okay. Mid. Oh, all right. To like we got some at 6. You know. Okay. So
good on you guys.
But it's been. But I was like, this is my City Warehouse. Like,
yeah.
The mini City Warehouse. But man, I've always looked at that project and been like, God, this thing is so cool. Like,
yeah, it is. It's fun, and some of those deals are a labor of love just because they're not very big, and so.
Yeah, because you got, I mean, I've thrown dead storage guys in there a couple times and stuff like that. And,
so now we got Mitch helping us now. So another young guy.
Okay.
But
so you brought up mezzanine.
Oh yeah.
How do you view
controversial
mezzanine?
Yeah, controversial, hot topics.
Here's my take on mezzanine.
All right.
Buyers never want to pay for it.
Correct.
Once they own it, they want to be paid for it.
Yeah. Accurate assessment. Yeah.
So, God, it's always an argument.
It's
always an argument with people.
Yeah.
So is it 1 for 1?
Well, so interestingly enough, I'm out of I've always been paid on it from a leasing perspective.
Okay.
And not even discounted. I mean, that's coming into the thought process from a negotiating standpoint, but I think by and large, every time I've had mezz situation, I've been paid on it.
Yeah.
Now we had a deal off of Avenue R where we essentially kind of walled off some of the mezz and just mothballed it to where they didn't pay on that portion, but they used it and paid on it.
Yeah.
And which is interesting. So we're seeing a lot of these California buyers come in that want to own their own building. And they're talking about wanting mezz and building mezz. And I'm saying,
wow.
Yeah, that doesn't happen in our market.
Yeah.
Proactively build out the mezz.
Yeah. We, I was selling this building for this client of mine, and they have about 4,000 feet of mezz in it.
Yeah.
And I mean, he'd always be like, "But we have this mezzanine." I'm like,
nice.
No one cares about the mezzanine.
Right.
They actually want to tear it down.
Yeah. Well, then because legit elevators, then you get in all these other ADA problems that it's always just a mess.
Have you been in the Tuesday Morning building?
No, I'm familiar with it because our guys have spent a bunch of time talking about that. But they had the mezzanine storage.
Yes. Okay. I mean, that is a...
They demoed out a bunch of it, didn't they?
Well, they may have at this time, but I toured it probably a year ago, and I was just like, dude, I don't know what you do with this.
Yeah.
Because it's so big.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you bring 3 pallets up the elevator and you go 250,000 feet that way.
You are losing money just moving freight.
Yeah. I was like, this is I don't know how you quantify this on it. So I don't know how people are viewing that on that deal. I don't think it's traded yet. I don't think that building is traded yet. I think some of the other ones are, but
well, they may have taken it out. I know N2G Ventures did a ton of work to relaunch that, and I think Lee and Associates guys, and maybe Rich Young, kind of
Lee and Rich
leased that together.
Yeah, Stephen Williamson and Adam and Rich are all working on it.
Okay.
So, but yeah.
But then that becomes a problem because some of that stuff becomes structural, and you start messing with that, and then tied in with the columns, and just a big mess, and lots of money trying to demo it.
Yeah, we had a we had it now. I guess it also depends on the construction of a mezzanine, right? Like we were buying this building in San Antonio, and they had like 3,000 foot wooden mezzanine.
Okay,
and I mean it was like you could probably if a forklift hit it, the thing's coming down, you know, and
safety hazard.
Yeah, and when we measured the building while we were under contract, the building was 2,000 feet smaller than what the footprint was. So we went back to them. They're like, "But you're getting 3,000
of wooden hazard mezz."
I was like, it just became these conversations became so unreasonable. I just looked at Will and I said, "Hey, look, I support you on this if you want to do this, but I don't think you want to do business." Like, there's a bunch of other things, but I was like, this was just another. The
mez took it over the top.
Yeah, and so it's funny. I had to when we back to this client of mine that was selling their building, and he's just always bringing up this mess. We ended up not selling their building, and I sold him a building on Bronze Way earlier this year. Okay, and it had mezz in it.
Oh,
and I was like, and he's like, "Oh, this is too high." He goes, we're $100 a foot, right? Or whatever. He's like, "Oh, it's $100 a foot. That's just too expensive." I go, "Well, hold on. It has like 6,000 feet of mezz. Let me add that
free
and we'll lower it down." So, and he's like, I could just tell he was like, like he didn't have an argument. So I was like, buyers don't want to pay for it.
Yeah.
Sellers or landlords want to charge for it.
Yeah.
So
depends on which side you're on.
It does.
Controversy of mezz.
The ultimate mezz I saw that I really didn't know how to figure out was the Mary Kay building.
Oh yeah.
That thing was it was legitimately built that way. It's 3 stories of mezz.
Right.
And I'd sold the annex building.
Yeah, I remember that. To Lone Star Electric?
Well, I sold it to an investor. Okay. And then I leased it to Lone Star the day we closed.
Okay.
And
well done.
Yeah, it was a
good comp. I remember pointing at that comp and like, oh, look at this blue color.
It was
comp.
I think it was like $675 net.
Yeah,
that was like
absolutely.
That was like a watermark.
We pointed and those MLA underwriting, we pointed that a lot.
Yeah. Well, so we leased it to him. That's kind of like my pinnacle deal. Me and Turner did that deal, and it was like this investor called us on the side of the road and was like, "Hey, I want to buy buildings down here, and I want big buildings." I was like, "Well, there's like 10 of them, like above 100,000 feet."
Yeah.
And we got a hold of that one because I knew the seller. I knew the owner of it because he was in the metal fab world, and that was where I'd come from. And so I knew him from there. And then we get under contract, and that investor's just like, "You better get a tenant or I'm not closing." And I was like, "Oh, God, okay." So Turner got a hold of Lone Star Electric, and I was like, "Get us a meeting." We get in there. We're like, "We're going to get this done." So we signed a lease with them. But what happened was when COVID hit, the investor got scared, and we put about $10 a foot into the building.
Okay. Had some HVAC, or it had some infrastructure or something, didn't it?
Well, it had a big built-in mezzanine. I'm sorry, built-in racking system.
Okay.
Inline sprinklers and everything. So we had to go demo out all the sprinklers.
Pricey.
Yeah. It wasn't cheap to do all that, and had no office in it. So we had to go build all their showroom in it. So we were $10 a foot, and so about $1.3 million TI. And so we get down. COVID hits. The investor gets nervous, thinking they're not going to make it for some reason. They were a solid company. I was like, okay. And he calls them up and he goes, "Hey, your rent is the same as a mortgage if you pay me like $110 a foot."
Yeah.
And he bought it for $65 a foot.
Okay.
Put $10 a foot into it, made that much money. And that's when I said, I'm going to do this for myself going forward. Because we put all that together. He just had money. I got to go figure out money.
Yeah.
But we had that Mary Kay deal together. on the other side doing a sale leaseback with those guys. They're the Humanetics, the owner of it now, and they were going to move in. And man, it was just, that thing was a beast of a building, man. I mean,
that was Bill De La Chappelle's client?
Yeah, Bill De La Chappelle repped Humanetics, and they bought the Mary Kay site whenever Steve Berger took it out.
Yeah.
And they bought it on a lease back from Mary Kay with the intent to move in it. But I knew they never needed the annex building because it was so much bigger than what they needed. And the president of Humanetics, like he was a really cool guy. He would he would anytime I had a question on anything in that world, we were competitors, but like, man, he would give me full access.
Oh, that's cool.
And so, really great guy. And, but they bought it for all the power and all their fabrication stuff.
Absolutely.
And all that. I'm sure I think they put their powder coating line on the second floor and all that stuff. And so
they figured it out.
Yeah. They made it work. And I mean, their basis in the deal, I mean, it's almost like a covered land play at some point. I mean, it's a city block, you know?
Yeah. It is covered land play. Yeah. Exactly right.
So, we were going to charge on that mezz. Yeah. But that was kind of that building. That was what that was.
Right.
So, the forever ongoing mezz debate.
Yeah. Yeah. To be continued. Not to be solved here. Too controversial.
Yeah. Right. Swings underwriting. Very.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
So, well, cool. What do you say? Like, kind of like, your routines, habits, like, what's your, like, you seem like, you said this earlier, you were the process guy. So you seem very like regiment. You're the military guy, process driven.
Yeah. I'm pretty disciplined by and large. So workout guy, I'd like to start my morning with some weights or running or CrossFit, some kind of workout.
Okay.
I feel like it just helps me think.
Yeah.
Then a little bit quiet time or some journaling, trying to get my day straight.
Yeah.
And then for the most part, I eat pretty well outside of, it's not something work related to client dinner, or something fun on the weekend. Then I'm pretty boring in terms of what I eat, which the team will laugh at me and just think I'm a weirdo.
You got it all macroed out and everything. Pretty dialed in.
I've kind of got my perfect day, and I know if I eat 90% towards that, then I've done pretty good to keep it in the lines.
Yeah.
But I'm creature of habit and pretty disciplined.
Yeah.
For the most part.
What time do you get to the office every day?
Well, my workout. So I get up at 5.
Okay.
But I'm later at the office than I am early. So I'm probably there 8:45.
Yeah. But you've already
sometimes 9.
But you're already doing a bunch of stuff the whole time.
Yeah, it's not that I'm not up. I'm just doing some other stuff.
Yeah.
Or trying to get calls. Although, like, I almost find if I get a little time at home, start my day there, I can get some efficiencies, just work on some of my stuff rather than getting pulled into so many different conversations. Or if you need to bang out a bunch of calls.
Yeah.
I mean, you're better off to kind of get secluded and spend some time by yourself.
Yeah, no, sometimes I don't leave my house till 10.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I got things I got to knock
your stuff
out,
first.
And because
I call it the deal cave. They know if I'm in the deal cave, I got to get some seclusion and work on my own stuff.
Because otherwise, I don't care what this isn't exclusive to our office. It's any office. But if you shut your door, someone will be like,
yeah, exactly.
Hey, you got a minute?
Yeah. Or if you got your earbuds in, are you on the phone?
Yeah.
Yes, but come on in. What? I mean, try to tackle both at the same time. But yeah. Which I wouldn't have it any other way.
No,
I love it. At the same time, like as kind of, I guess, disciplined I am, I also thrive on the chaos of it.
Yeah.
Which is also ironic of why I love the business, just because extreme highs and lows and you just got to be in the game long enough to capture the highs.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm addicted to the chaos of it, despite also getting exhausted from it.
Yeah.
So,
it's, there are some very massive highs and lows in this industry, man. You could be working on something like your city warehouse deal, 8 months, and it could, not make.
Right.
You know, that happens. Right. We've all had one of those.
Yep.
And it was funny. Me and Will have our little podcast every week, and we were talking about this yesterday. But there's that guy in New York, Ryan Sarhant, that does the Owning Man. You know, he's like a residential guy.
Okay.
But I watched his little show, and he's pretty big time broker, man.
Yeah.
And
some good commish from condos in New York.
Oh, he had a $250 million listing.
Oh, jeez.
A penthouse on.
Are they getting a full 6 there? 3 and 3?
I would think that stuff would be negotiated there.
Right.
But he wrapped up his this season of his show, and I thought he said something really cool. He said, real estate has the highest highs and the lowest lows.
Yeah.
He goes, but what gets me up every morning is knowing that the greatest deal I've ever done, I still haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's pretty cool. That makes you like, okay, yeah, there's another big deal out there to be had. And those highs are so cool. And
just got to stay in the game.
You do, man. You gotta,
and every good deal dies at least once, right?
Oh.
Before you make it.
It does. It's funny too on the buyer rep side. Sometimes people got to lose a deal to make their next one.
Yeah.
Exactly
right.
I've seen that happen. I've seen guys just negotiate too many times. I've always told them, they're always like, well, I want to go back with this. What do you think? I go, well, I think you better be willing to lose it.
Right.
In order to win it. And they're like, okay, I think I'm willing to lose. And then sometimes when they lose, they're like, really? I'm like, yeah.
I told you. Well, that's frustrating for your side too.
Yeah.
Though. And especially coming out of this landlord market that we were in. And so some of that's changing here. Some, you know, I mean, that as a landlord guy, you're having to get back to the basics. But we went through a stretch where no was the answer, and tenor guys kind of became accustomed to that and did a good job communicating to their clients that no is no. We better take this, or they'll give it to the next guy.
Yeah, that was tough. That's been tough. Like. When I started as a tenant rep, it was like 6 months free.
Yeah, good. The parlay to the stuff that I brought here, but exactly right.
It's now it's been tougher. Like on a deal, it's like, how do I provide value?
Yeah. Maybe I can get you a month free. Or...
Maybe here's the rate. You know,
right.
It's been a challenge. But, so.
Well, I brought some of these old proposals. I thought this would be fun.
Yeah.
So
here we go.
This is March 12th, 2010 to Donnie Rohde, 935 Avenue R, 35,000 square feet, months 1 through 12, 99 cents.
Wow.
And the funniest thing is, like...
I remember this building.
Yeah.
It was like a duplex building, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But it could be a single tenant building too.
And so the best thing is, let me see if I can find the...
Woodward Skate Park.
Who the hell is that?
What are they doing these days?
I don't know, but they didn't take the deal.
Not good enough.
No.
Look, and the rent is $335 triple net.
Yeah.
And that's probably what the nets are today on this building.
No, exactly right. Exactly right. All right, now we got one to Buddy Turner at 957 Hines Way, which
that's in Arlington.
That's leased that for years.
How big is that building?
GSW. So it's 160,000 square feet.
Okay.
So this was Central Garden and Pet, and we were working them for a renewal.
Okay.
And Brewer over in Heller Industrial Park had something else they were interested in. So we proactively went to them, and we're going to change their existing rent structure with a year free, and then start at $225 triple net for an effective rate over the full term on a 5-year deal for $211 net.
They didn't take it.
And they didn't take the deal.
Nope. Let's move.
Yeah, right. A year free for current rent. And just funny. One more. Noel Hutchison with Colliers, same building.
Mm-hmm.
Amalgamated Sugar. So we were giving them a year free, and then a year at $1.75 net for an overall effective rate of $1.99.
And did they take it?
They didn't take the deal. That's the craziest thing to me.
Oh my gosh!
I knew we'd chuckle at those.
That is solid gold right there.
Man.
That is
goodness.
So yeah, it's well, you deserved your day over the past couple of years to say.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Because give us our day, man. We did deserve that.
Yeah, maybe it's starting to neutralize a little bit. We're getting back on offense, get a little edge over there. So, but no, yeah, it was tough. It was tough to look at like. Well, let me ask you this though too. So this is one thing that I've kind of seen, and I kind of thought about this on. We did a renewal in Inwood Trade Center.
Yep.
And 17,000 feet.
Mm-hmm.
They were paying $550 net,
mm-hmm.
and we went to like $1050 net.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, that's like an $85,000 annual increase, right?
I know.
And that's like for a small business, you just wiped out the owner's salary.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you seeing like small businesses just not take it and just move or just fold, or is it? I mean, because the flip side to it is y'all are seeing the demand. You're kind of like the market maker, right? You're seeing the demand on the other side, and you're seeing what this is at. And it's like, hey, look, if you don't want to take this bid ask, like I'm just gonna lease it to this guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how have tenants absorbed that, and how have you seen that kind of play out?
Yeah, it's been a problem here. It's just been interesting to observe. I'm fortunate that I've got a wide sample set of different things to see. So the bigger stuff has still been active, like 500 to $1 million. That was cooking. There was stuff happening.
Yeah.
But then the smaller, we'll call them mom and pop plus, because they're a little bigger than just straight up mom and plus.
Sure.
Pop. But in the smaller regional, those are the guys that got hit the hardest, because year over year, 40%. I might have had 150% rent increase, or maybe 200% was our all-time high. But you could average that out at a 50% all day long, if not doubling them. And that was just kind of Brook Hollow and GSW are the best sample sets for those, where we would just ratchet up and like, okay, well, why don't we see what we get on the next one?
Yeah.
And then that went ice cold. They just stopped taking the rent increase. So to your point, I think it just got to a point where it crippled those businesses, and they legit found other options, whether it's move in with a friend or a friendly business, or consolidate. We saw a lot of consolidations. So started getting space back. And I think Brook Hollow specifically got hit hard on that, because that's a big chunk of that business. And all of a sudden you did a search for 20,000 square feet where there might have been 4 options, and now there's legit like 25 options.
Yeah.
So I think we've been living through that, maybe the end of maybe mid last year till now. We've kind of been working through that. Mm-hmm. It feels like we're on the front end of some of that strengthening. But there was absolutely a period to where the smaller tenant was just done taking the rent bump and finding other alternatives.
It's funny you say that, because there was a time where a comp didn't really matter, because the next deal was just going to be higher. Yeah. You'd look at it and be like, oh, I can make a deal there. And it's like, you get the proposal and you're like, you get a comp on a building. You're like, oh, hey, Mr. Tenant, hey, look, they made a deal down the street at this price. And then it just backfires on you when you get the proposal and you're 25, 50 cents a foot higher. You're like, but they just made that deal. I was like, I know, but they took that deal off the table. That deal's off the board, right? So there was a time where the market was moving so quickly that comps were irrelevant, because it's just the comp was setting the next tier of the market.
Right. 100%. And I had several of those conversations.
Yeah.
I don't remember what deal it was, but Brook Hollow, Alex Coe with Cressa was working the other end. And he came to me with a handful of my own comps, or mine and Maddie's comps, and said just that. And I was like, all right. I mean,
good point.
Here's the new number. And they took it. So, but
no, that's what it is. And you're talking about. I kind of feel like Brook Hollow's got into this almost quasi design district. Yeah, because design district. A lot of people went down there, bought a bunch of buildings, put a bunch of money into it. Thought they were going to get 17, 18 net on all those things. And man, I remember, I think it was 2021 or it's 2019. I was looking at vacancy in design district.
Okay.
It was like 19%.
Which is shocking, because it was never like that.
I mean, there was just you couldn't lease buildings down there.
Yeah.
And I remember when I got in the business in 2010, coming out of 2009, Redbird was 16% vacant.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was like, this is 2019 and 17%, 18% vacant. So,
right.
So I think there could be some of that where, you know, Brook Hollow was always the cheap alternative.
Agreed.
Now it's becoming quasi. I mean, there's people, they want $9 a foot for their 25,000 building. And I mean, you might be able to go to the airport and get a brand new building.
Yeah.
Pretty close to that rate.
We're still pushing some of those rates, and we'll get those rates.
Yeah.
But to your point, so Inwood Design Center for Hines, we leased that, which is just on the fringe of the design district. And that was part of the thesis, is to kind of be the lower cost alternative to some of those tenants.
Yeah.
Which hadn't 100% panned out for that profile of tenant. It's still not quite that, but you got a handful of guys that are spillover from the design district. But you're right. I mean, we just issued a proposal the other day for 20,000 square feet at almost $10, and some of those numbers. Yeah,
it's God, I love that project. Like
was awesome.
There was a time where I think I had about 50% of the tenants in that project.
Yeah, you guys still have a big chunk of them.
And I remember when that was coming out that was going to sell. I took it to Cantex. And I was like, we have to buy this.
Yeah,
and we tried, but it didn't happen. What are they doing with? Did the land behind it sell?
Yeah.
The land. That's like the Highland Park landfill, isn't
it?
Yeah,
exactly right. Yeah. So Crow's got a development coming out of the ground there.
Oh, okay. What are they building there? You know?
Oh, yeah. I don't remember the total square footage, but you can chop them up to like 20s and 50s.
Got it.
So, which would be awesome. Right next door to us, some brand new product. And Stream's leasing that for them.
Do they have to access it through your property?
Well, they do.
Yeah.
They do.
Guess I had to pay for that. Or was there? I guess there was an easement on the property probably prior to.
I think that's already worked out. That was already worked out.
Got it. Well, cool. Here's another question I always like to ask: Is there a book you've read that was like, hey man, this is, you know, or like something like that like kind of really helped change some trajectory for you in life? Or
I got a couple of books. So, Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday.
That guy?
Oh, there it is. Look at that.
Well, that's the Daily Stoic. So yeah.
But that's, man, I'm more of I'm a audio. Yeah. I'm a listen while I'm working out, but I've listened to that several times. And and he also has a podcast about being a dad or fatherhood, which is pretty good. Some of it gets long-winded now, but some of his earlier stuff was pretty good. But but great book, just adversity, kind of sticking to it.
Yeah.
And just nuances of different stories that didn't, or that worked out in a way you didn't expect them to relative to the circumstances. So that's a great book. Another fun one is You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero, which that's just kind of a fun one, but still self-improvement and just a good mindset book. I've given that one as a gift several times.
Yeah.
And she's got a calendar that goes along with that and kind of a different saying each day.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So I was listening to the Two Bears, One Cave podcast the other day. I don't know if you've ever listened to that. It's Tom Segura and Bert Kreschner.
Okay. Yeah.
They're comedians.
So, hilarious.
So
I know Bert.
And they have this guy on. His name's Will something. I can't remember. He played in the NFL, and he has a Barstool podcast. They have him on. And so they start talking about stoicism. And, and he's talking about, he starts talking about the power of saying no. And so they start talking about Ryan Holiday. And Bert's like, yeah, I just don't believe in all this stoic stuff. It's just stupid. What just going on? And Power saying no, whatever. And they're like, well, let's get him on the phone. So they get Ryan Holiday on the phone.
Oh, all right.
And then because he's like, someone explains stoicism. And they start saying, he goes, the Power saying no. He goes, we called you and got you on the phone immediately. You didn't say no. So they went through this whole exchange, and Bert's just like slamming it.
That's pretty
funny,
good.
But yeah, they had him on there the day. But yeah, that's been a cool book. I haven't read The Obstacles Away, but I've seen it, and I've heard a lot of people tell me about it. And,
you got to add that to your list.
Well, what's something unique about Canon Shoults that most people don't know?
Yeah. I've run. I'm a meathead at heart, so kind of my progression. I'm a good old '90s era Ronnie Coleman meathead at heart.
Yeah.
Turned runner.
You're from Arlington. Come on.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah. Exactly right. Turned runner. Turned CrossFitter. So I've run 22 half marathons.
Okay. It's pretty solid. Where any unique places or just all in Dallas?
No good locations.
You got to go back to the mountains, man.
I know. Exactly. Yeah. Get some cooler climate.
Yeah. 22 halves. When's the last one you did one?
Year before last. So I'll kind of get into it and then get out of it a little bit. But, and then in terms of getting serious, I sometimes I get to coach and train up. Yeah. And then sometimes I'll just go for fun. But
what's your best mile time?
Relative to a half or just
both?
All right. So my half, I've got I was trying to get 1:30 or better, hour 30 or better. So I've got a 1:29:34, like a 1:30:05, a handful of 1:33s, so that equates to about a 6:48 pace.
That's moving, man.
That's pretty good because I'm 200 pound or 195. And then my fastest mile, maybe I got to like a 5:35 or something like that.
Yeah, that's moving too. So that's cool, man. Yeah, you gonna run any more?
Yeah. Now I'm trying to just lift, but I'm sure that's in me. So I'm sure
you'll get the itch.
I'm sure I'll get another one here at some point.
I think
when I turned 50, because that was the deal. When I turned 40, I wanted to hit within a certain rank in my age group and hit a time. So maybe when I turn 50, I'll try to do good in my age group again.
Yeah, I think I've done 2.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, it was fun. It was good. The pounding on the concrete that's what gets me. I'm with you. Just crush. I love running. Like I love it. And but man, so I'll try to run on a trail every now and then. I wish I ran more, but I don't. I got really into jiu-jitsu this year, so I've been doing that a lot.
That's everywhere in the universe.
Yeah.
That's calling my name.
You'd enjoy
try it out. Yeah, I think I would.
It's fun, man.
I'm just freaked out about getting hurt or
there's the average guy at our gym is 40.
Okay.
So they're all concerned about getting hurt.
Okay. But then you probably got that one guy that really badass trying to do something stupid.
You got to be careful when you go with the kids.
Okay.
Because you will I went with a kid, just graduated high school. He's a middle linebacker, McKinney,
you played college football, old man.
I give him that old man
Texas
strength.
Tech.
But he's, the big issue is in the beginning is everybody that starts is a spaz, right? Okay. They're like, because, you start
it's all control.
You start getting choked. You're like, blah, but because you don't know what to do to get out of it. So that's where a lot of that comes from. But it can be, if you're rolling with the right people and everybody kind of knows what the pace is and, I don't know. I think you can avoid injury for the most part.
Yeah.
So,
because if it's that age group, they're all there kind of for the same reason.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can kind of start feeling when you can go hard and when it's like I was rolling with a guy yesterday. He's probably 30 and this guy's a beast. Yeah. And I like to roll with him because he kills me constantly. Because I'm like, I gotta figure out how to beat this guy.
Yeah.
And but like today, I roll with a guy who's probably my age, and I was like, I could tell we were supposed to be going to submission. Every time I'd sweep him or something, it'd be like he'd stop. Like, okay, cool. I'm like, I was going to finish you off.
Yeah.
But you want to stop? Okay, we'll stop.
Yeah.
So you can kind of read the body language of if someone wants more or not.
Yeah.
So
where are you going for that?
There's a place in Prosper right by our house. So,
okay. It's popular. It's everywhere now.
It's fun, man. I'll go on Sundays open mat and just go get after it for 2 hours. So
it's a hell of a workout, right?
Yeah, it's a total. I think it took me 30 sessions to get my body acclimated to it.
Wow, okay.
You know what I mean? Because
it's just a different kind of conditioning.
Well, yeah, because it's a lot of your body just getting smashed. Yeah. So you got to kind of get used to being sore and all those things and kind of get past that. But But like now it's like I can just go every day because my body's like, and in the beginning it's crazy. Like I'd go at night and like I couldn't sleep. And when I'd go to bed, I'd have like 50 dreams because I think my body thought it was in fight or flight. It was in fight or flight. And so I was like, I can't sleep. So I go in the mornings now because I gotta, but now when I go in the evenings though, if I do go in the evenings, it's like, it's no big deal. Like, it's like, I can go to sleep now. My body's like, okay, we get it. You're playing with us, So.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm intrigued about is just like putting yourself in that situation and the pressure of that or the fight or flight and just working through that with your body. I mean, it's just interesting.
Well, it's like, it's a lot like solving complex problems under pressure.
Yeah. Right. Keep your composure. And what are you going to do? You're being choked, literally.
Yeah. So like, I mean, if you drain your energy too much because you're trying to just fight your way out of it, like the guy's just going to wait you out and you're going to gas out and then he's going to get you, So it's been, it's interesting. Like today I was working on something today where it's like, I'm going to do this to you to get you to do this so that I can do this to you, you know? And so there's a lot, honestly, it's kind of like negotiating real estate sometimes. It's like, okay, we'll give them this and see if they come back with this so that we can do this, So I enjoy the complexity of it. It's like, and then it's like, did you ever see that Tom Cruise movie? I think it's like Day After Tomorrow where he just keeps dying and like, he's like this soldier and like, that's how I feel like. It's like, you're like running down the boom, you're dead. All right, wake up, do it again. Boom. Sometimes you live, most times you die. So, But no, it's been fun. I really enjoy it.
I gotta check that out.
So, well, cool, man. This was awesome.
I appreciate it. Very cool. I've enjoyed listening to some of the other podcasts and some of the other guys on.
It's fun, man. It's kind of just becoming this documentation of Dallas commercial real estate. So it's fun and
it's such a unique business and so many great personalities, great people. Yeah. So it's fun to hear different stories and you feel like you connect with them in a different way to listen to them.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad everybody got to hear this because, like I said, I kind of look at you as like probably the top leasing broker in Dallas for industrial. Man, it's like when I'm just always, working a deal with you has always been great too, man. I'll tell you one thing I always think that's really great about you is you're always calm and collected. Like you're very cool, that. Like deals can get pretty heated sometimes, but I feel like you never lose your cool. And I think that's very important. So I've always appreciated that working with you. So.
It's a small world.
Yep.
So, don't be an asshole because whether it's that young asset manager that is early or a young broker, everybody grows up and everybody's going to be meaningful. So
that's true. It's very true.
And at the end of the day, we all have a common goal, and it should legit be fun. Like how it's a puzzle that you're figuring out together, and at the end of the day, you get paid. So
that's right. That's right.
Have fun doing it.
Well, awesome. Canon Shoults, everybody.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you.
See ya.